Hey guys, it's Brendan Borman back for our 270 video. The gang is all here. Depending on where you are looking, we've got Daniel Smith, the commissioner of the Roundtable tournament. We have Brice Hawkins from my home state, Missouri. We've got Supun from, he got to experience 2021 first because he's in Australia, so that's kind of cool. And then from the King of the North, Tyler DeMora. Welcome in, guys. Thanks for joining in. Daniel, we're going to start with you.
Well, thanks. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this was crazy. I know people enjoy the random wheel draw. I know that's a pretty sick background. This is a pretty awesome tournament. This is season 3. Tell us kind of briefly the history of it, how deep this field is, and then we'll get right into the bracket.
Right. Well, thanks again for hosting this on such short notice. Below me, if you're watching, Supun won the first ever Roundtable tournament. The fields are always stacked, tough competition. Other than the RHL, this is probably the most stacked tournament that is in the lounge currently, but a lot of others are coming up. So, but I'm just glad to host it and have one of the previous champions in Season 1, Supun, with us. Season 2, Javier Rodriguez pulled off the win, but I think, Supun, correct me if I'm wrong, you made it to the Final Four in Season 2 as well. So yes. You're gunning for Season 3, a repeat champion. It's going to be fun to see how it shakes out. But everybody here in this video is in this tournament. We're all going for the Season 3 championship, so it's going to be fun. This season we've got 64 players, so it's going to be hard to make it to the top spot.
Some of us are in it for the long haul, and some of us might not be, and we'll see. We'll see how this bracket turns out. I'm probably talking about myself right now, but I also could be talking about Brice. We'll see. We'll get into that here in a little bit.
Oh, you're 100% talking about me. Like,
hey, I'm pretty sure. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Daniel, but I'm pretty sure I started Season 2 of the Roundtable against Tyson. I think I made it to the semifinals.
You did get past Tyson, which was probably the biggest upset. So there's hope for you, Brice. There is hope for you. You beat Eric York in the World Cup.
Yeah, we'll see.
You had the big win over Bart Childers as well, so don't sell yourself short. I'm rooting for you.
To be fair, a lot of weird stuff happened in 2020, so maybe Bryce's luck has run out. We'll see.
Yeah, that Cinderella story's gone.
Yeah, that's behind us now. It's a whole new year.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and Daniel, if you don't mind sharing your screen, that way we can get right into the bracket. But while you're doing that, I do want to give the floor to Supun. As a champion, talk about what it takes to go through this grind of an independent candidate, and kind of recap briefly like your win.
A lot of people like to play with a specific candidate and target that candidate's bonus. But with this, you can't do that. You just need to go generically, whichever bonuses work well as a balance. So I like that because, you're not going to see someone just target New York just because they've got the AA bonus. So it's a really, really nice mix. And it takes away the abilities of the candidates, which I really love. Honestly, I don't remember Season 1 that much. I mean, I know that it went my way, but my memory's so faded. I honestly cannot remember too much about how that all went down. I know that's a bad answer, but it's the truth.
That's okay. I appreciate the truth. You could be like Daniel Warren and just blast false truths, but that's why that's why we have Daniel Smith on this stream and not Daniel Warren. So
I'm always going to bring you the honest news, no frills, no BS. Like Daniel Warren, he's full of BS.
No. So let's jump right in. This is Quadrant A. And right at the top, we got Bart Childers and Raymond Baroy. 2 big names in the lounge. Anybody here not picking Bart?
I'm going to pick Bart. Raymond's tough, but he's a multiplayer, specialist. I faced off against Raymond in a lounge match, just a random, lobby match, and he was tough, but I mean, Bart's cut out for this kind of tournament play. I think he's going to get past Raymond pretty easily.
Next matchup, you see George Fry, and when you were drawing these names, I'm like, please don't put me in this group. Please don't put me in this group.
Yeah, I mean,
it turns out that every group is loaded. So, but this group in particular, so George Fry, probably the biggest name in the group. No disrespect to Bart. But Dustin Downey, he is an up-and-comer. I would obviously pick George myself, but Dustin can hang in there with the best of them, so should be a good game. Anyone ever played Dustin in here?
not to my
I
knowledge.
I was gonna say I think I did for the basketball tournament, but I don't remember who won that one.
Yeah, he's very very good. Very I can't think of the word. But anyway, I'll come back to that word because I'll probably use it quite a bit here. Owen Moran versus Kieran Stephens. I don't know who that person is. I'm sorry. Do you guys know who that is?
It was I had posted, hey, we need 8 more players, and Jeremy Cooper Sperber posted this person. So I'm assuming Jeremy is friends with this person, but they immediately said, yeah, I'll join. So probably a newer player. I'm not familiar with this player, so best of luck against Owen. He's a good player.
Yeah, he likes to visit Oasis, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I was going to say, if Jeremy tagged that individual, then I would say they're probably a rising star that he was trying to get some more credit. So I expect this match will probably be a good one in this case.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to that for sure. Adam Zatcher, who has is his username just A Zatcher, I think?
Yeah.
Definitely seen him in the lounge, very active. Grayson Rogers, another name that I'm not very familiar with. Anyone want to take the floor on Grayson?
I'm not familiar with Grayson.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, one thing I'll say is that the random wheel did the bottom 4 players in this bracket a great kindness when it put Bart and George in the same subset.
That's
Right.
Yeah, that's going to be a hell of a match, Bart and George, if they both win in the second round match. I hope that's streamed because that'll be a nail biter.
Yeah.
George is going to come back a little mad too because he didn't get all these matches in for that World Cup. He's going to want to come back and win this thing. So
yeah,
I feel bad for Bart.
He's such a mastermind. I call him the surgeon for one reason. It's because he knows exactly what to spend to get the bonuses, and he knows it's like he's got a sixth sense of knowing, just enough to get over you to keep you from stuff. So, out of the whole group, George is going to win this one, guys. I mean, let's just be honest.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, so does anyone want to pick someone other than George?
I think Bart.
You're picking Bart. Okay, I'm picking George. George is I learned not to pick against George. Bart's really good too. I think whoever wins that will most likely win. That seems like a cop out, but I am looking forward to seeing if some of these players who we don't know can make a name for themselves. So that's kind of exciting.
I'm curious, real quick, why is Supun is picking Bart on this? Like, what's the logic there?
Because Bart has been in really good form. I've noticed that he's been playing really well, getting far in tournaments. So just based on form, I think Bart.
Yep,
you can't go wrong with Bart or George. It's going to be one of those two. And, I mean, it'll be that second match, if it is George versus Bart, if they both make it past their round 1 opponents, that's going to be a stream-worthy match for sure.
What's George's record in this in the first couple seasons of the Roundtable?
I know he's made it to the Final Four, I believe. Season 1, he went out. Season 1 was Supun versus Chris Roper, which was that was his first ever tournament play. And he made it all the way to the finals with Supun. He's a very good player. I tried to get him into this season, but he had some other prior commitments, so couldn't get in. But George is always there in the final 8 for sure, if not the final 4. I believe Supun, I may be wrong here, but I think you defeated Javier, or it may have been George that you defeated to go on to the championship. It was a big name. I want to say it was George that you defeated to make it to the.
Yeah. I remember now. It was George. It was a close match, but yeah, George.
Yeah. And then season 2, I know Supun, you were there, I believe, in the Final Four that Javier won. George may have been there, and Javier defeated George. He's always went deep in this one, so
Cool.
I'm not gonna bet against George here.
Yep. Well, we better move on to group B, or this will turn into the late night owl stream here with Tyler.
Right? Yeah. Let's get to Group B.
Which
Funny enough, Tyler's been the quietest one here so far, so
yeah,
it's interesting.
yeah.
He hasn't got his drink on yet.
I've only had one, so we're ramping up still.
So Group B, Quadrant B here, it starts off with Khalil Blumen versus Christian Lozano. I have played both players. I would give a slight advantage to Khalil personally. I know these are not official seeds. This is just kind of the random, the 1 versus the 8 if you're seeing the screen here. But anyone here have an opinion on that match they'd like to share?
Khalil's sneaky, so I'm going to pick him too.
Khalil wins because I know who he is, and that's politics.
There you go. It's all about who you know.
Same as Tyler. I've played Khalil, and he's a solid player. So Khalil.
In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna make a shotgun call right here. I'm gonna say the final comes down to Jeremy, Cooper Sperber, and Guillermo.
Okay.
Wow.
I mean, those are the biggest names that I recognize. I mean, Michael is a tough player. He's got his round 1 against Rebecca. I've never played Rebecca, but I think he's going to make it past there. Guillermo's a tough player. He was in the Team Dem versus Team Republican, so I see he's a tough player. But, yeah, I think Tyler's on to something there. Probably Guillermo and Jeremy there at the end. I'm not sure who Khalil is. You guys must have that insider information.
So I don't know if this would be more familiar, Daniel, but his I believe his player name is Common, COMON.
Oh, okay. COMON.
Or that one time when he turned 8 forfeited on me and I made a pun. I said, "Come on, man. What's up with the turn 8 forfeit? Come on." but no, he's he is also in Europe, so he's on a different time zone as well. Jeremy Cooper Sperber, I do know, speaking of what Supun was saying, he is actually on pretty good form himself. He has taken down some really top players, and while he may not consider himself to be a top player, I wouldn't sleep on him making a run. But every time I see Leonard Taco, I don't think I've ever played that person. I just think of Taco Tuesday, and when I think of tacos, I get happy.
Yeah.
So I don't want to pick a winner in this match because I can't pick against Jeremy or against tacos. So
Right.
And Jeremy has been streaming so many matches with high quality players, and I'm sure he's picking up on people's strategy. So he's improved so much. I think Jeremy definitely wins against Leonard.
Yeah, he actually made it in the season 3 of the Team Dem versus Team where we had the round robin type style. He made it into the top 8, and there were some huge players there. So he's an improved player. So I'm not gonna, if I had to pick in this group, I'm gonna say Guillermo takes it, but he's gonna be defeating Jeremy Cooper in the finals.
what do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, I think Guillermo's going to take this bracket. I will say that I think Gary could have – I mean, he still can, of course. Anything can happen. Yeah. But I think Gary, unfortunately, got a bad pull here. I think he could have made it a lot further if he didn't get someone like Guillermo for his first round here. But I think he might not – I don't think he's someone to sleep on here. It could be an upset there.
And Rebecca Gill, she could make a run too. She's definitely improved. She plays a lot of games, and she's just like Jeremy. She's seen a lot of games. So, but I'm picking Guillermo as well. So,
I'll say Guillermo, but I don't think he's going to play Jeremy. I think Khalil actually beats Jeremy in that second round, and it'll be Guillermo versus Khalil.
Let me ask you, Brice. What's your reasoning behind that?
Shut up.
All right, we got Quadrant C here, and this is where we find the first member of our team here. So we've got Matthew Esqueda. I always say that wrong. I played him recently on the YouTube channel, and I called him Esquardo or something. I was just like off my rocker, so I'm getting there. I apologize, Matthew, but he's a good guy, and he's facing the host here, Daniel Smith. Daniel, have you ever played Matthew?
I have. We've played in a couple of lobby matches. I went on a binge last week because we're working from home again. And so in the downtime, I just pull up and just play lobby matches. And I've faced him a couple of times. I mean, he takes it down. It's not a romping that I put on him. So it's going to be fun to see what happens. And I always get nervous and overthink a lot of these tournaments. So, and then looking at, if I make it past him, I've got either Brice or Tossin. So it's always hard when you're looking forward thinking, man, I'm going to get put out in the second round of this thing. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say I'll make it past Matthew. But, I did that with Rashad last year. I didn't know Rashad, and he's a great player. But he entered the season 2 tournament, and I had to match up against him. I didn't know the guy. I said, yeah, I should have, no problem beating this guy. And then he beats me and puts me out of the tournament. So I'm not gonna bet against any of these guys against me because he could come in and stomp me. So we'll see.
Does anyone want to tell Daniel to their face that they're not picking him?
No, I actually think he's underselling himself. He's doing that damn reverse psychology bullshit. What he doesn't tell you guys is that he just got the number 1 seed in like the hardest group in the World Cup. And I don't know how you've done in the knockout rounds. I haven't paid that much attention to it past me having to play Tossin. But, no, I think Daniel's underselling himself. He wants Tossin or me to get through.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter if Matthew or Daniel wins because either of them are going to lose to Brice, right? I mean,
shut up.
That great reverse psychology. Yes, let's jump right into that. So Brice versus Tossin. Take 2 or take 3? What is this?
We played once a long time ago, and he destroyed me. But that's been months ago. So I'm going to count this as like round 1 all over again. Not counting the World Cup because that has happened or has not happened. That has not happened yet. So he's supposed to still have the World Cup match and this now. And it's funny because right before you jumped on this, Jason Casey's like, oh, well, you guys going to play 2 matches or just 1 now? I'm like, I'm not leaving a World Cup bid up for independent Bernie. Like, no, I'm not playing that game.
But you could beat him. I mean, you guys are on an even playing field there. So
I'm not leaving my chances to move ahead with independent Bernie at the helm. No, I'm good.
Well, independent Trump's pretty good.
Yeah, right. That
he's
scares
a better
me.
choice. Yeah, he's a better choice. Because his color that's behind him is the same color of his skin. So I mean, he's.
Yeah. So yeah, Tossin obviously, everyone knows him. He's an RHL champion. He is widely considered to be, a top 2 or 3 player inside the lounge. Brice will definitely have his hands full. Anyone want to make a prediction on this one?
I'm going to say Tossin.
I'm going to say Tossin, and I will also say if I make it past round 1, it'll be the first time I've ever faced Tossin, so that'll be interesting to see how that goes.
As a betting man, I have to give this one to Tossin. However, this is the type of match where the underdog does have a certain momentum or purpose that allows them to win the match. I mean, that's
want to hear some live odds?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually I do.
So we're going to put Brice Hawkins plus 225. We're going to put Tossin at minus 350.
Oh, I'll take
terrible.
That. I'll put money on Tossin on that. Yeah.
I'll put money on Tossin.
Pete Rose.
Right?
Okay, so moving on, we've got Peyton Swearinger and Dan Warner, both players I'm familiar with. They competed in the basketball tournament. Peyton was in the choice hosted by Javier Rodriguez. I would put them kind of in the same tier in my mind, having only played them maybe a handful of times. I don't really have a huge leeway one or the other. I'd probably pick Dan just because not that they're two jabs at Peyton in one night, but he does have that turn 1 forfeit in him when it's a 270 sanction tournament. So
I don't know, Brendan. I think Peyton might be the dark horse of this bracket.
Okay,
I agree. I totally agree, and it may be because he slapped me around the other day in that I would try to make good on the Daniel name because he killed Daniel Warren and then he killed me too. So I don't know. He had a strange tactic though. He saved money and played. It was a style I was not used to seeing. So he got the best of me. But yeah, I'm gonna say I'm gonna put money on Peyton to take it. Probably he'll get beat by Tossin there, probably in the finals.
Okay. Okay. What do you think, Sapun?
I think Dan Warner is one of the most underrated players in the lounge. Whenever I play him, it's so close. He's very difficult to defeat, and he's joining the RHL Congress next season as well. So his gameplay is solid. He's been improving, and again, I just think he's very, very underrated. So I'm going Dan Warner for that match.
Awesome. Any other thoughts? Anybody? I want to cut anybody off?
Yeah, I think that neither one of these guys makes it to the final. I think your finalist is the next game, Nicholas Sloan.
Okay, yeah, I agree. I'm Team Nicholas Sloan. He and I played quite a few practice matches. He beat me in the college basketball tournament. He's beat several big names. He does play a little bit of a Tyler DeMora game, kind of a ride or die on a big move, whether it's in Florida or something else. But
easy.
But when it's an independent, no penalties, no bonuses, and you can't really play a conservative game. You have to be bold. I mean, you have to be, you can't be, irresponsible with your funds, but you have to be confident. You have to make strategic moves. And I think that Nicholas has that capability. I also have no idea who the heck Bill Barnes is. Does anyone know who Bill Barnes is?
Yeah, I don't know Bill. I think he's a new player. And what is Nicholas's screen name?
So Kaiser Sloan is his brother. Nicholas Sloan, is it something 22?
I know I've probably played him before. I'm really good with screen names and not the actual people. So.
Isn't it Nick 22?
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, it's got a 22 in it. Nick 22. Yep. Thank you, Tyler. So anyway, that rounds up group quadrant C. As we hit the 10 o'clock hour, we are halfway through. So we're going to do our best here to keep it on time. Let's look at quadrant D, which was labeled during the live draw, the group of death. As soon as Daniel returns from whatever adventure he has embarked on.
Brendan,
he said 10 o'clock, he's out.
Yeah.
Brendan, do you think this is the most difficult group so far?
So far, I think it's the top heaviest group. I don't want to say.
Oh, what are you saying, pal? I know I've gained some weight, but geez. Top heaviest group?
Yeah. Well, you can follow Tyler DeMora on Twitch. It's at Portly Games?
Yes, sir.
There you go. So do it now. So Daniel, thank you for moving right on the quadrant D here, which was labeled during the stream as the group of death, where we do find our friend, the one, the only Tyler DeMora, taking on the World Cup commissioner, Anderson Freer. Have you ever played Anderson before?
I feel like maybe I have, but I really don't remember, because if I did, it was one time. So I'm not sure about this one. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, the first few names in this bracket, we'll come back and we'll do all the different predictions, but Rick Whitmar, Dylan Hales, who went 5-0 in the World Cup, including beating me, Timothy Yates, Eduardo Ochoa for Daniel Smith. But I won't not try Tom's last name, Criswick. And then
you should have tried Gary's last name. That's what I want to hear.
Gary V. That's what I say.
Gary V. Yeah,
and then Siraj Thomas. So from top to bottom, a pretty balanced group. I do favor Tyler in that first match. I've played Anderson just a handful of times also. I've played Tyler a lot. I've watched his late night owl streams. He's very consistent, but it'll be interesting to see, because I'm curious to see what Tyler's strategy would be in a kind of this setup. You don't have to spoil it, because obviously you want to make a deep run here, but I would assume, just like Daniel Smith, that you guys will be kind of zoned in on that swing state bonus. So as
it turns out, my strategy works pretty well in a roundtable environment because I don't really base my strategy on my candidates' bonuses most of the time. I mean, if they're extreme bonuses in one direction or the other, sure, but that's not usually how I pick my candidates.
Yeah, I can vouch for that also. Yeah, you play as Gary Johnson a lot. You play as Howie Hawkins.
I rolled Tulsi and Daniels last tournament, Team Republican, Team Democrat. Yeah, I'm a fan of those flex candidates.
There you go.
Except Santa.
Anyone want to flex on Tyler and pick Anderson here?
I got Tyler winning that one.
Brice?
No, I'll pick Tyler.
Okay, it's a clean sweep. I'm picking Tyler as well. This next match, we have Rick Whitmar versus Dylan Hales. Both players I'm very familiar with. Of course, Rick Whitmar does the new leaderboard, which he just did the live stream tonight with Troy Moore. You can check that out on the 270 Lounge. And then Dylan Hales, who I just mentioned, went 5-0 in our group. I think it was Group G of the World Cup, which was Larry Costa, Nicholas Sloan, who we've talked about already, myself. So some pretty, good players in that group. What do you guys think about this matchup?
Real quick, this is also a match of destiny type pick. These guys in the World Cup are in the play against each other in the World Cup. The winner of Rick and Dylan in the World Cup plays the winner of me and Tossin. And so this is going to be one of those double header matches as well.
I wonder if either of them would stake their World Cup on an independent, Bernie.
I don't know. That'd be an interesting ask for sure. But
Rick Whitmar actually put me out in season 2 of the Roundtable, so he's a tough player. I think I've played Dylan maybe 2 or 3 times. I'm going to give Rick the advantage in that one, but it'll be interesting to see. That'll be a good match to watch for sure.
For sure. I think Dylan is much improved. I think that Rick I don't want this to come off as negative because I like Rick quite a bit. Rick is a player who I think similarly to me when I first started playing 270, like I won the very first community tournament. I think I won the either the second one or the third one also, but I was also playing with Barack Obama. When I think of Rick Whitmer, I think of Michelle Obama, just like I think of David Robinson playing with Michelle Obama or the Stone. And while, those aren't the most overpowered candidates and, anyone can win, it'll be really interesting to see how Rick does in this format. I am going to pick Rick myself, but I don't think I've ever lost to Rick when he wasn't like Michelle Obama.
Well, I will say that he did, like you said earlier, he did the gutsy moves against me. I mean, he pipped in, and when most players, when you're playing just a standard match, you get that pressure, and they're not going to act on that immediately. Rick acted on it immediately. He would pip into Florida, and then he would steal Florida the next turn. I mean, so that was his gameplay. I'm sure he'll change it up this season, but he's not afraid to take risks, high risk, and that's what he did to me and just snowballed me. So I got Rick on that one.
What about you, Supun?
Very, very hard. I think I'm going to go for Dylan. Again, I'm basing it on form, on what I'm hearing. I haven't played him much, but if he's going 5-0 in the World Cup and beating all these really strong players, then I'll give the advantage to Dylan. But that's a tough one to predict.
Yeah, Rick's in good form as well. I don't know. He's still in the World Cup. He made it. If he might even still be alive in the college basketball tournament. I kind of ducked out after I got humiliated by Jason Casey for like the 5th time in a row. I got that. But Tyler, what are your thoughts on Rick versus Dylan?
And they're 2 really good players, but I think I have to give the edge to Rick. I don't know. I have to. My instinct tells me to go with Rick.
Awesome. Brice, what about you?
I'm going to say Dylan on this. Dylan is the number one reason why I got knocked out of that Survivor tournament. And I played about as good a game as possible to beat him. And he still won. So I'm going to pick Dylan on this.
Awesome. So pretty split there. Timothy Yates versus Edgardo Ochoa, 2 players who I love to see. They haven't won a tournament before, but they keep signing up for tournaments. They're very active, good loungers. Edgardo Ochoa, the O is actually not an O in his name. I mean, it really is, but it should be a 0 because he always 0 spins on turn 1. Fun fact. So, but anyway, Edgardo Ochoa versus Timothy Yates. Anybody have any thoughts on that matchup?
I don't know either of those players, so got to be a coin flip.
There you go.
The little that I do know, I feel like I'd pick Eduardo on this one.
Okay. I've played Eduardo. I think that I would also slightly lean him, but I have seen Timothy Yates beat some mid-level players. I definitely would put them in the same tier. I think they definitely – like you could have seen Rick versus Timothy and Eduardo versus Dylan, in the first round, but it just kind of worked out the way the draw. Moving on here, we've got Tom versus Siraj. So I have not actually played Siraj in a very long time, but I'm looking forward to squaring off because every time I blink, he's beaten Tossin for some important match. He seems like the only one who really has a grip on Tossin's gameplay at the moment. Is anyone familiar with Tom Criswick?
I'm not, but I will say that Siraj came off an upset in the World Cup, so I don't know how that'll affect him going forward, if he can shake that off or if that'll affect his style. But, yeah, he came off that loss to Richard Altfeld, so we'll see what that does to him.
And Richard's been around a while. He knows what he's doing. But, yeah, I would have called that an upset as well. I think it has something to do with maybe that honeymoon phase wearing off, newly married man.
Yeah, his mind's not on the 270 game right now. So hopefully he can shake that and get in the game. But, yeah, I'll give Siraj the win there. And he's probably going to – I say he makes it to the finals in that bracket. Who he's going to face, I mean, those are all four, Tyler, Anderson, Rick, and Dylan. I mean, it's going to be fun to watch.
I'll say two things. I'm picking my kiss of death. I'm kissing. I'm picking Tyler Demora to win this group, and Siraj, get your head in the game. Woo!
Oh my gosh.
Let's move right along.
Oh boy.
Oh my gosh. What did we just see?
Over.
This is a fun bracket here. I mean, Jason
Jason Casey wins this bracket, so we can go to we'll go to the next one now. I'm kidding.
Wait. Hasn't Zach beat him before, or am I making this up?
Oh, I don't know. Has he?
I don't know.
Jason's almost got he's the new Eugene V. Debs for the lobby. I mean, when people beat him, they post it. So, I mean, he's the guy.
If I beat him, I'm posting it. It's coming, Jason.
I mean, I think I've played him 4 or 5 times. I've yet to beat him. He's the new Jeff Ray for me. Jeff Ray, when I first started playing, Jeff Ray was the player that I couldn't beat. And then, I think TJ's Tournament of Champions, I got my first win over Jeff there, and super excited. And then we played recently in the lobby, and I was able to get him. So, yeah, Jason's the new Jeff for me, so I'm looking forward to beating him one day, and I will post about it for sure.
Yeah, I'm picking Jason over Bandolin, although Bandolin probably, would have made a couple rounds if he did not face up against Jason. So shout out to for James, very formidable player. That's the word I was trying to think of earlier, and I couldn't think of it. Formidable. Kaiser, Nicholas's brother, is also improved, but I'm taking Zach. Richwowski. I'm with you, Tyler. I think I've seen a screenshot of him possibly beating Jason before. We'll have to fact check that. Richard Altfeld coming off of his upset over Siraj in the World Cup. And then, come on, guys, no love for Chase Moss.
I don't know Chase. I mean, that's all for you to explain to us. I don't know Chase. And Colton, I've seen his name, but if I've played him, like I said, I would have to know his screen name.
Steve Conroy something.
Yeah. My friend Kyle, he's never played in the tournament. We'll see how he does. I think Richard will probably beat him, but it'll be fun to see how he matches up. Like I said, he's only played me, and I usually bludgeon him with Michelle Obama while he's Donald Trump. So,
I mean, what should we be expecting here, Daniel? Is this going to be Brendan's dad level talent, or what do we got going on here?
It's going to be him getting his feet wet with other, high level players. I mean, I don't consider myself a high level player, but I'm top mid tier, I would say. And he gives me he would give me a run, but now, I mean, we played a lot probably at the beginning of the year when I wasn't I say I wasn't as good then, and we would, match up. But we'll see. I mean, I'm hoping he does good. I really do. I hope he does well. But Richard's a good player. So Richard's been around for a while. So I think Richard's experience will pay off there.
Well, I don't want to hijack, but since my dad was brought up, so true story. So we just celebrated Christmas virtually, because my sister, and she's okay, but she tested positive for COVID. But he was playing 270, and we did that. We recorded the 12 days of Christmas, and anyway, he was playing a match. My dad lost to Jason Miegel. I was like, don't spin. He's like, no, he's gonna take Florida from me. I'm like, no, don't do it. It's a trap. So anyway, but no, and Colton Conroy, he's on my team. I think Colton is my dark horse to take this group down. If it's not Jason, does anyone here want to make a pick for all the games or for who's gonna win the group?
Jason.
Case all day. He's only been
Jason.
using 0.01% of his power so far. And I think the Roundtable. Yeah, I mean Jason.
We
Unfortunately,
just ran Brennan off with that one.
Unfortunately for everybody
Had to
else,
get my
Jason's
phone
in
here.
the bracket, so it's going to be rough. But anything can happen.
So we've got the defending champion Javier Rodriguez in this next quadrant. And I asked Javier to be on this stream, and he is spending time with some family. But he did send me a quick little message that I'm supposed to read here. So he said, sorry, guys, I could not make it, but I'm glad that Daniel Smith has put together another roundtable. This is one of his favorite tournaments inside the lounge. And this is where he finally got the monkey off of his back by defeating George Fry. He calls that his career highlight moment. It's one of the most unique tournaments in the lounge, and he encourages all players to sign up in the future. Whoever comes out on top will truly earn the title of the Roundtable champion. Good luck to all contestants, and thank you, Daniel Smith, Deuces Juices. That is from Javier Jason Rodriguez.
Some brand.
So anyway, he gets to face off Daniel Warren in the first round. Daniel, I'd say he's a very underrated player, but every time I pick him, he loses. So in everything, like every time he's on my team, we lose. So, just to give you another shot, buddy, I'm going to pick Javier here.
Well, my first experience with Daniel Warren ever knowing this guy was in season 1 of Team Dem versus Team Republican. He was in the Republican. I didn't know the guy, and we made it to the Final Four. It was like he and someone else, and then me and George Fry. Of course, I knew George, and I actually sent George to the losers bracket, so I was super excited, and I was betting against Daniel Warren. I was like, who is this guy? I don't know him. He beats me and puts me out of the tournament. So that's where I guess our rivalry first started was season 1 of that one. But he's a great player. But, yeah, Javier's the defending champion. I've never beaten Javier. He's a great player. I'm going to give him the advantage on that one. It'll be a good game, though.
Supun, what do you think?
I think we're very evenly poised. Daniel Warren is a good all-rounder. He's not too reliant on Obama or Crooked Hillary. But I still give the advantage to Javier, but it will be very close.
I agree. I think Daniel could have made a run. He still can, like we keep saying, but he could have had an easier draw and almost would have won a match or two for sure. What about you, Brice?
I'm going to pick Javier.
And Tyler, I know I watched a stream last night of Javier kicking your butt. Are you picking your pal?
Yeah, I mean it's got to be Javier. He's on the very short list of players that I simply cannot beat. I mean I've beat him once a year ago and has not happened since. So unless you count the ridiculous 3:30 a.m. weird stipulations that you make for Javier and I in matches, then I can beat him. But
let's count it. The next matchup is gonna be a doozy. Like if I was putting together a bracket, and only picking one game to stream, this is on the short list. This is Tyler Barola, President Camacho, who I've seen play. He does have a chip on his shoulder. He was kind of complaining he was not in the top 20 of Rick Whitmar's new leaderboard ranking, which is a direct correlation of not playing as many matches. But Conrad Scheffler, who I've actually never played, but I've seen play, he beat Adam Montgomery in the final of Richard Gadd's Random Wheel Tournament, which was the first time I really got exposed to Conrad. But I think I'm picking Conrad in that game. Does anyone here want to back President Camacho?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, I will too. I don't know Conrad, but Tyler Barola, I played him. I think the only time I played him was in a lobby match, and it was a 1-minute timer. And I hate when a highly skilled player. I think Tyler DeMore and I have locked horns a few times on the 1-minute timers, and you just don't have enough time to think when you're up against somebody like Tyler Barola or Tyler DeMore. You don't have time to think. But he's a tough player, so I'm going to go Tyler Barola in that one.
I like how Tyler DeMore over here is just laughing, being like, "Yeah, got you in a catch a jab or something."
Yeah. I mean that's how it goes, right? I always get mixed
I'm
up.
going Tyler as well. I'm going Tyler Barola to prove himself.
Okay, and I am friends with Tyler, so don't get me wrong. I hope Tyler does well. I just if I was a odds betting man, you guys would all take Tyler Barola because I'd put Tyler Barola at plus 125 and I'd put Conrad at minus 110. So I mean, you guys would all take the free money and run, right? Because that's why Vegas has those big casinos. They never win.
Also, what's this about? If you were an odds betting man?
Just if. The next match, I don't know Micah, but I do know Andrew Miller. Andrew Miller was Kentucky. He was in that very deep SEC loaded conference for the college basketball. Really made a name for himself. Again, I don't know Micah, so I would assume that Andrew was going to win that matchup. Does anyone here know Micah?
Micah's on my team in that team tournament. He's on Eric York's team, and he's pulled off some big wins in that tournament so far. I know Andrew Miller beat me in that NCAA playing game after I talked all that crap against him. So I want to say this one's a coin toss for me.
Okay, well, you just talked me into picking Micah. So sorry, Andrew, I'm picking Micah.
I think that this bracket comes down to Javier versus David Robinson.
I think David got a fantastic draw. David just put the slobber knockers on me on the Michelle Obama versus Michelle Obama. He got the monkey off of – he's probably one of the best players I'd never lost to until that match but in the World Cup. But David, does rely on those strong candidates. It'll be really interesting to see how he does. I do think that he probably wins his first 2 matches. And I would definitely want to stream or want to watch that stream if it's Javier versus David. Yeah,
that'll be a stream-worthy match for sure. I agree. Javier, the only thing standing in his way may be Tyler Barola, but – yeah, Javier, I mean, he's going to have an easy path to the finals to defend his championship.
Awesome. So is anyone here not picking Javier?
I'm on the fence, actually.
Okay.
I hate to be a contrarian on this one because, I am Team Javier, but I think that he's actually going to have a hard time against David. I think that's going to be a tough match. I still think there's a very good chance he'll walk away with this bracket, but –
awesome. So we are on to Group G, which is where we find Jeffrey Bobowitz. Call this the Survivor bracket here. I mean, it was crazy. The first 5 names that were pulled off of the wheel all participated in Renee Lopez's Survivor tournament. Whoever, how do you say that? Chegg or?
Yeah, your guess is as good as mine.
Chilcott, take a Chilcott. Okay, so Jeffrey's not, he's very consistent. He's got the ability to beat players. I've only faced him, I think, once or twice, and I won, but it was a competitive match. And Jeffrey's a good guy, so I'll pick Jeffrey. I'm sorry, I don't know who the other player is, but does anyone know who that is?
I don't. I think he's just a new guy and wants to make a name for himself. So, and I don't know Jeffrey other than watching the Survivor. broadcast, so it'll be fun to see. Keep an eye on him.
He's also the commissioner of the Frozen Four, the hockey tournament. So be on the lookout for some more news coming, some streams for that. But man, I was not looking forward to facing several players. Dennis Muxlow is one of those. So the last time I played Dennis Muxlow, it went 54 turns, I think.
Good gracious.
We were in a dead stalemate. First, it was for some national group like Women's Movement or something. I think he was like RBG and some other one that had like a 70-something%. Like, I'm not giving him that, And then we both went like the route where I spent the minimum to get swing states. He spent the minimum to do something. We each had 400K, and we kept clashing in Texas. And like we wouldn't. So anyway, I finally gave in because I was driving and playing 270, which is probably frowned upon. And I'm like, okay, I have to move on with my life, Dennis. If you beat me in this public lobby, I'll give up. So I like zero spent. And anyway, I barely beat him. That was a Michelle Obama versus Trump 2020. Battle for the old South AA kind of game. And but I've seen Dennis almost take down Jason Casey. I've seen Dennis really make a name for himself. He won the Survivor tournament. So call it reverse psychology, call it lack of confidence in myself, but I'm picking Dennis Muxlow.
And with that being said, that put the nail in Dennis's coffin. I'm picking Brendan in this one. Just because you picked Dennis, I'm going to pick you now.
Yeah, I got to pick Brendan too, only because I played Dennis in the World Cup. He was in my bracket. That's the first time I've ever played him. I didn't have trouble with him, and I'm not taking anything away from him. Maybe he just had an off night. Maybe it was one of those things where he's never played me, and I have I don't know if people think I have a different style or I don't think I do. I have a typical Republican strategy. Brendan, on the other hand, he's beat me a bunch. So yeah, I got to give it to you, Brendan. And then I think I think the only person really standing in your way, Brendan, will be Jeff Ray to take this down. So a lot of pressure on you.
I think Dennis could easily take it down, but I think Zach Algaze, and we'll get there in a second. But Jeff Ray, Aaron Weinstock. Jeff Ray, obviously, he's been the lounge forever and ever. Supun, Jeff Ray, these guys have been here, since the beginning. The original OGs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but Jeff, he plays a pretty similar game in my mind to Tyler Barola, kind of field out, grind it out. And that can work, especially if you have a great candidate or if you get those bonuses that are $100,000 bonuses. But I don't know. I think that Jeff might have his hands full with Zach Algaze. Zach Algaze has been on an absolute tear, and that's Hasib. Didn't Hasib just beat who was it in the lounge? Was it Two-Part Ohio or someone?
Noah Blasmeyer, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, whoa, who's this Hasib guy? And all of a sudden, we did an auction draft, and like Hasib went for like $60 because like, oh my gosh, Hasib. So I don't know, that bottom of the bracket, like, and I'm, Dennis and I could obviously go either way, Jeffrey, but that's a pretty loaded bottom half of the bracket. I'll just, since I'm rambling here, I'll make my picks. I'd pick Jeffrey, I'd pick Dennis, I'd pick Jeff, and I'd pick Zach.
So who do you have in the final match?
I would probably pick Dennis versus Zach.
Okay.
I'm going to say Brendan and Jeff on that finals match.
Yeah, I'm torn on this one. Common wisdom tells me it's going to be Brendan versus Jeff, but unconventional wisdom tells me it could be Dennis versus Zach.
And I'm just not that familiar with Zach, so I mean, not to take anything, but these newer players, I'm not that familiar with. So, yeah, I'm going with the old names that I know, the tried and true Jeff and Brendan. I mean,
yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. If it was primary mode, it'd be Zach in a heartbeat. But sorry, go ahead, Brice.
I was going to say I'm going to split the hair on Tyler, and I'm going to pick actually Brendan versus Zach. And the only reason why I'm picking Zach over Jeff Ray is that Adam Zacher actually beat Jeff Ray in the second round of the ATP earlier today.
Second round? Wait, I haven't even done my first round game
yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, ultimately I'll probably go Brice on this. Brendan v. Zach.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Brendan v. Zach on this one.
Awesome. Has Supun, have you chimed in yet?
Yeah. I'm going Jeff and Brendan. Jeff and Brendan.
Awesome. Hey, and I forgot to read this earlier. This is a message from Jason Casey, so I'm gonna get us caught up here. Jason wanted to give us not the Elite Eight for basketball, but the elated. How you said it? I can't. ELATED.
Elated.
Elated. He's happy. The Elite Eight. Man, that's that Missouri education, Brice. I'm sorry. I'm making us look really good right now. So anyway, these are 8 players who have legit chances to win their brackets, but they may not be the conventional favorites. So I'll get us caught up. So he's got Adam Zatcher. He's got Khalil Blumen, who we talked about. He's got Brice Hawkins.
Oh, jeez.
He's got Siraj Thomas. James Bandelin, do that little psychology thing because that's his first round opponent. Conrad Scheffler, who I picked to beat Barola, and then Hasib, who in the last bracket. So those are, and then in this bracket, just a little spoiler, he's got Joshua Neptune. So those are the 8 players. So we'll jump right in here with Quadrant H and Chad Harris, the commissioner of the RHL Congress, taking on Richard Mad Gad. Give me Richard.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll do the same.
It's hard to bet against Richard. I actually played him earlier today in the lounge. He was AOC. We had a good match, and I told him in the messenger after I beat him, he forfeited on turn 11. And I told him, I said, man, you were still in this match. I mean, he really was. He was still in the match. We clashed in California, and after that, he forfeited, but still in the match. We talked about it afterwards. He said he was using AOC in an upcoming tournament, so he wanted to kind of experiment with her. But he's a dangerous player. I don't think I've played Chad, but I mean, name recognition. So that one it'll be a fun match to watch.
Awesome.
Hey Brendan, give us the over under on 8 turns for this match. How many turns are you on?
Okay, so I'd say the over 8 turns would be probably minus 250, and the plus. So like 8 turns or under would be plus 140.
So you guys think one of the players are going to forfeit? Is that?
No, not at all.
The Vegas odds would say minus 110 that it goes 210, that it would go longer than 8 turns. So that's how that works.
Tough call.
Richard got for me as well. Richard, very hard to defeat.
Yeah, Richard's it's a tough pull for Chad. Tough pull for anyone, but yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to go for Richard.
I think Richard also benefits from this format. I think he is very underrated in the sense of he is very flexible in how he can win. He doesn't have like one direct path or one consistent, tendency. So I think he could make a very deep run. I also think he got a good draw here. Darby Callahan and Cassie Hankins are the next group. I don't know either of those players. I like the name Darby. That sounds like we're going to the Kentucky Derby right now.
I'd say one of the top 3 biggest war crimes of this tournament, or that Supun and Eric have to face off so soon.
Yeah, I agree. I can't bet against Supun in this one. I'm not just saying that because you're on the stream. A lot of respect for you and your gameplay. You've won this championship before. But yeah, getting past Eric York will be you or Eric will be the winner of this bracket. I mean, hands down, I don't see anybody else that can hang with you or Eric.
Yeah, and Eric uses the national group, so I just wonder how that comes into effect when we're playing with these neutral candidates.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, very hard to defeat. But also, Eric has to go past Joshua, and that'll be a tough match in its own right.
I'm picking Joshua to win that first match, actually. So I'm going to pick Joshua. I'm going to pick Supun. I'm going to pick Darby, and I'm going to pick Richard Gadd with a Richard Gadd Supun kind of a finals in this bracket. And I'm going to rely on Supun, even though he burned me in the World Cup. Couldn't beat your first round opponent. What's up with that?
Well, speaking of that World Cup prediction, I kind of wanted to be Supun versus Eric because that's what you picked to be the championship. And it's funny how fast you bailed on Eric now
No.
in this tournament.
Yeah, no,
So-
I have the utmost respect for Eric. If I was playing Eric, I'd pick Eric. But I think that this format does hurt him slightly. Not much. I think he's a great player, but I also think Joshua Neptune is very, very underrated, and he has a very set strategy. I don't want to spoil a lot of his game on his behalf, but he's very dangerous when he gets his bonuses and gets his state groups. So I definitely would tune into that one. And if I was getting any kind of odds on Josh as the underdog, which I think he probably should be, then I would take Joshua for sure.
It'll be funny to see because Eric is one of the few players, which I know I've talked to you about, Brendan. I don't like to play from behind. I always like to play the match in control. Eric doesn't care. He spends his time going after the national groups, and he doesn't mind playing from behind. And then, at the end in turn 12, 13, that's when he starts flipping everything. So,
yeah, Chase Moss almost beat Eric York one time. I don't know if did you hear about that, Tyler?
No, I didn't.
So there's a group chat. I think that it was like turn 12 and Chase had the EV lead, but Eric had 2.9 million in 10 state groups, and Chase was like, guys, it's going to be close.
Yeah, I mean, even a blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then, Brendan. So I mean, yeah, Eric's going to be the tough, but I hope Supun pulls it off. Quick for everybody right now before this thing even starts, who do you have winning it all?
So Javier did not give a pick. He just said good luck. Jason Casey says Siraj Thomas.
Wow.
Wow.
Oof. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have my pick yet. Give me like 30 seconds to flip a coin here.
Well, yeah, we'll come back to you. What do you think, Supun? Who's gonna be the season 3 champion?
I'm going to go Jason Casey. He's been in incredible form. He's so hard to defeat in the lobby. And I think this format will suit him. So I think Jason.
Hard to bet against Jason. What do you think, Tyler?
Oh, it's a tough one. I'm gonna throw out an interesting one here. I'll say that if Dennis can take down Brendan, he's gonna win.
Wow.
Oof.
That's bold.
Yep.
But that could be the trajectory he needs. A win over Brendan, just lots of fire under him, and he just takes off. So we'll see. What do you think, Brice?
I'm going to agree and go with Jason Casey on this.
Yeah, it's hard to bet against Jason. He's a fantastic player. Definitely deserves to be in the top 3 of anybody's power rankings. I look forward to the day I hopefully can beat him. But yeah, he's a tough player. Brendan, what do you think?
I want to hear yours first because I want to make sure we're not picking the same player. No jinx here.
Well, I mean, you guys know George and I are big friends. A lot of respect for the guy. I would put him as number 1 overall. I think since he lost to Supun in the Final 4 of Season 1, he lost to Javier in the finals of Season 2. I'm going to say George gets the monkey off his back this year and wins it all.
So I like George to make a very deep run. I would say that he most likely will get to the Final 4. He could win the whole thing. However, it just depends on a couple factors for me. I think that Tossin is so great in this format. I think it's going to take a stellar performance to beat him. I think he'll be favored in every single match that he plays, including playing against Jason. However, if I was taking Tossin of the field, I would take the field. And I am going back to the well one more time. I'm picking Supun Leonage to win this whole tournament. Hear me out. Hear me out.
Supun,
So,
I'm sorry. He just put like a nail in your coffin on that one too.
no,
Sorry, buddy.
I think that Supun, will be in every single match. I think he will be ahead in almost every single match going to the ballot. I think that Jason, could possibly beat Supun, but I think these are the type of tournaments where there are a few upsets, and I think that I'm not calling Jason to get knocked off, but I think that the stars will align, and some Final Four variation will be like George Fry, Supun, like a Zach Algaze, like a name like that, or a Dennis, someone like that, and then Supun. And I think Supun will take it down.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of respect too. Supun would be in my, if I had, 4 players, he's there. Javier, Jason, George. But it'll be fun to see because, I mean, like you guys said, there's always an upset. I mean, look at the World Cup. I mean, George didn't even make it into the in there, and he didn't get to play all of his matches. So I will say, if he had played all the matches, he probably would have grabbed a spot. But anything can happen. It's going to be fun to see what shakes up, and I hope that a lot of people are tuned in and watch these streams because they're going to be some great matches.
Awesome. We'll give everyone here one last word, and then we'll sign off. We'll start with Brice.
I'm just excited for this tournament. This is probably the most star-studded tournament we've had in a while. So this is like a heavy hitters part 2, almost.
Shout out to Ben Shaben, commissioner of the Heavy Hitters Tournament. Good guy.
I tried to get him in this tournament, and he I don't know if he's on the fence of retiring or coming back. I know he said in your video he didn't know if he was coming back. So he's in limbo now, but he's a great guy.
Yep, for sure. Tyler?
I'm more excited than Brice is, and that can be proven legally.
Okay.
So that's all that needs to be said at this time. That's what my lawyer told me to say. So
I'm just here because I don't get fined. Sounds good. Supun?
Yeah.
Anyone who knows me will know that if I play a tournament game, I'll always ask the opponent who you think you're playing as, so we have even opponents. So I don't need to do that anymore. So I'm glad I can just play. I don't have to worry about who they're playing against.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I know, and I think that's a very noble thing. It's also, it gets tiring playing against the same people every single time, like a Michelle Obama. Like that's the cool thing. Like I have a subscription now, and I played a match earlier as I'm going blank Boris Johnson, which I just put on YouTube, and I played against an Obama. And that was so fun to just put that Obama in its place with a Boris Johnson. So, but I'm excited. This is actually my very first roundtable that I've been a part of. So I'm excited. I've always loved the concept. I've actually thought about doing something similar to that before I'd even, because I think I missed out on the first one. I think I heard about the first time it was season 2, but I just missed. I was like, "Ooh, what's this?" And they were drawing like the wheel.
Yeah.
Oh, darn, I missed. But
now this year was the first, or this season was the first one that I did the actual, because I know last season I did the you got into the tournament in the order that you signed up, so that really put a lot. I think made 1 or 2 of the brackets super heavy because a lot of the new or a lot of the good players hopped on there together. So I thought the random wheel was the best way. I know Jason had mentioned to me maybe doing the power rankings, but it's hard to use those power rankings, I think, to do this because there are players like Tyler Barola and others that may not get ranked high on the power rankings, but are quality players. So the random wheel just kind of lets fate decide it, and especially in a tournament like this where it's no bonus, no penalty. It's pretty much, who can out-skill the other, who can out-chess the other. So it's going to be fun, and I'm looking forward to the upsets that we're going to have in this one.
Here's the thing is I was actually excited that you did the random wheel because last time my first round match was against George Fry, which you streamed, and I got destroyed in that match. And so I was like, oh, sweet, like maybe I wanted to play like a tough opponent. lo and behold, I get tossed in freaking lake over here. And so I'm
You're
screwed
gonna
no
win
matter
that
what
match.
happens.
You're
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
win
screwed.
that match. You're gonna win it. I need you to win that match.
Well, this has been a blast. I know. Thank you guys for hopping on short notice. We will get this up as soon as possible so that everyone in the lounge can partake. But since Brice was on here, I couldn't have a live video just because, you know, we can only censor so much. So if you made it this far, thank you so much. Thank you for everyone all of you guys for your role in the tournaments and the lounges, and the one lounge we have. And until next time, we will catch you guys in the next 270 video. Thank you guys.